was the NBA.
Exactly right. And we love him to death. He is the and don't forget Tim Cates in L.A. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Peter Burns at the SEC Network and ESPN. I don't need to make a list.
Andrew Siciliano we had on.
I don't take credit for the success. But meanwhile, let's bring on the greatness himself, Joe Younes. There's a Joe Younes' remote on Twitter, not associated or affiliated, I believe.
I don't think so.
With the real Joe Younes. What up, yo?
What up, Tone? Hair, what's going on, man? I just feel better, and my life has improved just talking to you guys today. I missed you guys. How's everything going?
Good, man. That's why we're here. We're here to make the country feel better, not to make the country feel worse. We're not here to divide. We're here to unite. Damn right, man.
Exactly right. So, I will say, a couple of years ago, though, there were a few headsets thrown, but we were in different rooms, though. That's the thing. And it was about the NBA because, my love for LeBron was just too much.
It was. I mean, it was overwhelming. You were sucking up to LeBron more than, let's see, who's the biggest LeBron suck-up in the country? Is Skip Bayless? Is he hate LeBron? I can't keep track. He hates LeBron. Yeah. Who's the biggest LeBron suck-up? Well, the guy who's not on the air, I know he was a big LeBron suck-up.
Right.
And then something went terribly wrong for him, unfortunately. But anyway, let's get it away. Not Brian Windhorst. Now, that's a good one. Brian Windhorst, obviously, but he's in Cleveland, and that's where he followed LeBron. Mm-hmm. And so his love, obviously, and he was drafted by Cleveland. So it's understandable if you were in Cleveland when LeBron was drafted by the Cavaliers, you're going to develop a relationship and love the guy. I don't have a problem with that.
No, he was. I remember playing the Thiago splitter, the block on Thiago splitter. Harry, I think you remember that like you were yesterday.
I've relived that moment probably 3 times this week alone.
Oh man, Tony! I mean, but that is what made our show and your show was just awesome. I mean, I will say those were the best years of my life working at the station. And we had shows before the show. I mean, you guys remember we.
And after. Yeah.
The show never ended. We didn't leave anything in the locker room before the show or after the show or during the show, during the breaks.
But then our wonderful program director would barge into the room and say, "Enough with the drops! Enough with the drops!"
Yeah.
I mean, it was, but we just kept racking it. It was
exactly right.
It was great stuff, man. But Tom, I will say, the show that you guys have now, and I listen pretty much every time I'm in the car. I get in, I watch you on Twitch, and I listen on Sirius XM. This is the best thing that's happened to radio in a long time, man.
Well, thank you, brother. I'm glad you got the email this morning and are reading from the prepared statement that we specially prepared to allow you to even be on the show at this level, Joe Younes.
No, you know, Mr. Robbins did send me a note, so I am reading from a prepared statement. We can't do it any other way. You know, this is the only way we know how to do it. But I will say the one thing I miss the most about anything in radio is working with you two. Though you guys are awesome, and we're good friends. That's what we are for life. So,
absolutely.
But I'm with the morning call up here in the valley now. So I know you said you don't know where I'm at, but I'm in Allentown, man.
I know you're in Allentown. I drove by there the other day when we were coming back from up in Hamburg. And I said, Joe Younes, we went to a Redner's, and I was thinking of you in Allentown. We went to the Allentown Redner's looking for meat. We're looking for meats in there.
Right.
And they had some meat.
Love meat.
They had some meat. They had the meats.
But isn't it incredible? Joe gets hired in the newspaper industry.
Yep.
Everybody else is being let go. Joe gets hired by the newspaper industry. We get hired by the radio for Sirius during a time when there's no sports.
Exactly, man. That shows you how the cream rises, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you guys are the cream. But I'm doing pretty well up here. Now they have me doing some sort of, hopefully doing some sort of pick segment coming up in the football season now that we're having an NFL season. So I'm still doing the picks and everything like that. So,
we need action. And everybody knows Joe Younes had the action.
Oh, man.
Harry Mays had the action. The Philly Godfather had the action, man. It's all about the action, man. By the way, the Joe Younes' remote has just responded on Twitter. Do you follow the Joe Younes remote?
Of course I do. That's a legendary account there, Tone.
He follows me. He's only got 23 followers, though. I don't understand it. He's following 23 people, and he's got 23 followers. So at least Joe Younes' remote on Twitter is consistent. And he tweets, even though Joe threw me against the wall after losing a bet, I still admire the guy. So Joe Younes' remote has chimed in with its take. It's a hot take, and he didn't suck, so you got to give him that.
That's true.
That's right. But what is life without action, though? I
know.
We have Bundesliga soccer. We got Premier League coming back on the 17th. There's people betting on Korean baseball. It's insane. It's insane. But it has been a couple months where we're missing the action. We need it.
Well, now you still have the Godfather locks going, right?
Of course, there. Yeah, GodfatherLocks.com. Been out of business for a couple months, though, with no picks. I'm getting emails from customers saying, where the hell's my picks? What do you want me to pick?
Yeah.
Now, not to be confused, you are not affiliated in any way, shape, or form with the Philly Godfather, who's a friend of the show as well.
We are good friends, though. He seems a great guy. Philly Godfather's a great guy. I've actually been in contact with him a bunch of times over the years. But no, not the same. Totally different.
The great Joe Younes. So after we worked together in local radio, you stayed around in radio for a while until you turned to newspapers, right? You were doing a podcast, I believe, at one point. Are you still doing it?
I still am. Yeah, I still am. On the weekends, I do a Saturday and Sunday thing on my own. But like I said, as soon as I had left the radio world, the morning call was my next home. I've been doing it for about 4 years.
Beautiful.
So I've been working with the morning call, doing some great stuff up here in the valley. But so radio lives in you, man. It's part of you. I would love to be back and doing it full force, but it is, just pushing money the best way we can at this point.
Now it's the Across the Board SportsTalkShow.com, Tony. That's
Across the Board
SportsTalkShow.com.
Not under the table. Not it's a stone cold guaranteed lock.
No, and I don't talk wrestling like our good buddy Nick Hale back in the day. I don't do any of that, but I do give out picks. We talk sports. We do a lot of stuff during football season, so it's pretty good.
Are you following Muhlenberg football this fall? That's what people want to know on the Twitch stream. Garden.
No, but I think he's releasing an early one on the Lehigh Lafayette game already.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest rivalries of all time.
Oh, that's a war up here, guys. I mean, it's a big rivalry.
Who do you like, Lehigh or Lafayette? I want an early. What's the early line on that game this year?
I think Lafayette's.
I would say Lafayette's a touchdown favorite, though.
Yeah, they have to be favorites.
We need early college football action, even in the small conferences. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes, man. Lay the 7.5. So take Lehigh. 7.5 for Lafayette. That's a good bet.
Now, is there an appetizer for Easton Red Rovers against Peaburg too? Because aren't they done around the same time?
That is a Thanksgiving classic up here.
At Cottingham Stadium or something.
Yes.
Hey, don't forget Muhlenberg. Don't forget Moravian, Lehigh, Kutztown. I mean, come on. We need all the small colleges represented up there.
Kutztown and East Stroudsburg. That's a good
up in
war.
the ABE, baby, the Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton Metroplex.
That's right. You see, this is next level. This is what you guys bring to the table, the next level. Also, I'm reading this from a prepared statement. This is on the bottom part here. But take this next level with Tony and Harry. This is what it's about, man. You guys, high school, college football, Lehigh Valley action is what this is.
Exactly right, man. And when we have that, you know what we hear.
What up?
What up, Younes?
That's right. That is right.
So are you not giving out NASCAR picks because they finally finished that race last night? Happened to be watching a little bit of that. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was. Now Chase Elliott was he got screwed over about 2 times in a row until he finally got one yesterday.
Right.
But no, I've been tuning into NASCAR. I did have Kevin Harvick on that first race. The return to racing, what was that, last 10 days ago now, 2 weeks ago now.
So but you are releasing locks in the Allentown Morning Call, even for NASCAR and Korean baseball?
Well, I'm not doing that for the morning call yet, but I'll be doing that in football season. The thing is, Tone, up here, they only care about football. That's the thing. I mean, I take you to the Bundesliga, the Premier League, all the other leagues out there with soccer. Nobody wants to hear it up here, man. It's not like Philadelphia. It's a great city.
You have to get it back to the Eagles, though, even though they don't practice up there in the Bethlehem area anymore.
Yes, it always comes back to the Eagles. So let's get back on track. Yeah.
Wait a minute, I have breaking news from the high-speed NBA wire, which should really wet your whistle, Joe Younes.
Yes.
Is this for real?
This is for real from Shams
Charania.
I always mess up his last name. He's legit. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver and the league office have informed the Board of Governors that July 31st is the target date for the return of the season.
Wow.
This according to the Athletic
yes.
NBA, and that's huge, huge news. So now at least the NBA has put down a date.
Okay.
Baseball, meanwhile, they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Hockey, we know what's going on. And now the NBA has put down July 31st.
Okay. As this return of the season, so does that imply that means they're finishing the regular season, or is the season the playoffs?
I have not seen the complete report, but that's the early reporting from Shams Charania at the Athletic NBA and Stadium.
Okay.
So that's good news. That is great news.
You know what that means, Tone? Another countdown clock will be put
Harry's
into
got
the
the
phone.
countdown clock on the phone.
July 31st, baby.
Do you have your countdown clock for the SpaceX launch Saturday afternoon, Harry? You got to have one for that. T-minus how many hours?
This is sports only, Tone.
Come on, Harry. That's important. They're going to try. Hopefully, they don't have another failure to launch on Saturday afternoon. Everybody's going to be watching that.
Wait, I'm taking the John Deere Classic countdown clock out
take
so I
that
can
off.
put this SpaceX in there.
That's right. Make sure you check off the John Deere Classic on your golf June 11th. June 11th. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the John Deere Classic is July 9th to 12th.
Oh, okay.
And that baby
This
is.
is the Charles Schwab. The Charles Schwab is June 11th.
That's the first. The first. That's the return with no fans.
That's in less
Fort
than
Worth.
2 weeks.
That's in Fort Worth. It's July 11th to the 14th. My birthday weekend, coincidentally. You think that the PGA realized? Let's bring it back on Tony's birthday weekend. The greatness that is the Charles Schwab Classic.
Well, then that means you're going to have to take the clubs down to the lakes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And bust out, on the driving range or something, right?
I mean, let them babies eat. And let that big boy eat. You know what I'm saying? My big Mizuno. That sucker wants to eat, Harry, and all that other stupid stuff that they say. Any birthday sex that weekend? Well, hey, I don't know. There are probably odds on that. What do you think the odds will be on birthday sex on the weekend of June 3rd? When is it? What day is my birthday on this year? It's on a Saturday.
Oh.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Tony, you do keep reminding me that 10 years ago was the good old days. So, that birthday sex might have been the good old days.
Wow.
Hey. What it is what it is.
All right, the fourth floor stall checks in on Twitter, and he says, I got to say, I miss at Joe Younes 15's ass around this place.
The fourth floor stall. And the Sports Brothers are saying, Younes likes Lafayette. So he's already giving out the Lehigh Lafayette college lock way before we even are thinking about it. Even before the student athletes are allowed to go up there in Allentown and practice.
Yeah, hey, that Lafayette's definitely the better spot. But Tony, I'm running some numbers here. Birthday.
You're running numbers too. I agree. Forget the Pennsylvania lottery. That thing's fixed, man.
The street numbers.
I want the street numbers back.
You're like a minus 460 for birthday sex on that weekend, man.
Minus 460.
Wow.
Heavy favorite.
Is that good or bad? That's pretty good.
That's
I want to
good.
be like LeBron. I want to be like the old LeBron numbers when he was in Miami and Cleveland, minus 2,000. Remember when LeBron was always wherever he played,
right,
was minus 2,000 to just win outright on the money line.
The shoebox bet.
Or maybe the day Roy Halladay threw the perfect game against Miami was probably like minus 330 that day.
That was 10 years ago today.
That's
Did you know that, Joe Younes?
Yes, I do remember that. And Tony, if you taught me anything, remember, don't bet baseball, but remember that.
Yes.
You taught me baseball.
Pete Rose taught me, and then I taught you. Pete told me never bet on baseball, even if you're betting on the home team and you can manipulate the bullpen and try to get yourself a winner because you can't win at dog racing and horse racing, because and highlight. I mean, Pete Rose is betting highlight, dog racing, horse racing, anything that moved he would bet on.
Right.
Damn right.
And then he wound up at the Caesars Mall on Saturdays and Sundays, the poor guy, signing flat objects.
Exactly, right in front of these forum shops at Caesars in Las Vegas, baby. At the folding table in Las Vegas, man, when you're walking through the forum shops, Aaron, there's Pete sitting out there.
I thought it was a joke. And then we were
was
there, and he was really there.
He was there like every Saturday signing.
Joe Younes signs stuff at Steel Stacks on the weekends, too.
By the way, is Steel Stacks open up there in Bethlehem, the great casino complex?
It's closed. Now it's because of the whole coronavirus nonsense. But no, it's closed. But it was open at one point. At one point. Hey, you know what's not up here, Tony? No sports book at the Wind Creek though. They're behind the 8 ball, man.
Are you serious right now?
No, there's no sports book up at the Wind Creek. They do have one at the Mohegan Sun though. The great Lehigh Valley Downs. Oh. Off-track wagering.
Get Governor Wolf on the phone. I need to talk to him. He needs a good talking to.
Yeah, but hey, it's almost like perfect timing. The NBA is coming back on July 31st. How about that? That's big news, man.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. But we'll hear more details today, obviously. But hopefully they do. And again, I don't know whether they're going to do what a lot of the teams don't want to do, which is come back and play a couple of games.
Right.
With the NHL, I give them credit, man. They played pretty much the similar number of games, both leagues, right?
Hey.
They got most of their season in. Why not just say, hey, all you people that didn't make it, goodbye, and then just take the 16 best teams, regardless of conference, and seed them 1 through 16. Right?
That makes sense. But Joe Younes is a big Damian Lillard fan. I'd love to get. What's your take on what he said the other day?
You know, I'm a huge Damian Lillard fan. You know that, Harry.
Yeah.
But I didn't like that. I didn't like that comment, though. I mean, you got to play the game. So I mean, I know if you don't have a legit chance of making it, but you got to count for what they did to that point, though. Don't you guys agree? I mean, there was a season up until March 12th. Whatever
Exactly.
That date was.
Exactly.
So we can't throw that out the window. We can't just say that never happened. They didn't play themselves up into the top 8 at that point.
No, they're ninth right now, I think, right?
They're
in the
ninth.
West?
Yeah, they're ninth behind Memphis. Yeah, but you can't forget that, right, Tone? I mean, you can't forget what happened the first how many months of the season.
And most importantly, you don't forget about Dre. I mean, come on, man. You understand that.
No, we can't
Never forget about Dre.
No.
That's
No, we
lesson
can't do
number
that.
1 on this show.
Isn't it?
That's right.
Isn't it ironic that the news comes down about the return of the NBA and the date when we have Joe
I
Younes
know.
on the program?
It's like an
now
omen.
that's something.
It's an omen from like
Yeah.
the LeBron gods out there. All the
That
LeBron
is-
worshipers today gathering around, putting their hands over the radio, saying, "Today's the day. Joe Younes is coming on, Mr. NBA himself." Adam
right.
Silver calls Joe Younes for advice on the association, Harry.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Damn right.
I mean, we're talking numbers of epic proportions, Tone. Before this all happened, we're 21-6 NBA run. I was on. It's just another day at the office, as we say here.
A 21 documented 21-6
documented.
NBA run.
That's right.
Unfortunately,
and then the coronavirus happened, Tone. Then it put me screeching halt to the coronavirus.
It's an outrage,
now I'm
man.
rusty, man.
can you get it back, though? Can you now start getting ready for the return of the NBA on July 31st and like nothing ever happened, and then get right back and start firing and having the NBA knowledge that you've gleaned over many, many years of studying the fellas?
There's no doubt about it, Tone. Do you have any doubt? Do you have any doubt in me?
No,
I'm
man. No, listen, I saw that in you as a young man when I used to have to yell at you, especially the one time when I said, "This isn't the Joe Younes show." Remember that one? That was the greatest day
Might
ever.
have been the greatest
I know.
fight ever.
Do we have that on tape
Oh,
somewhere?
I got it.
It's
Do you
There
got-
were
have that,
several
Joe?
people on the Twitch chat room that actually brought that up
Oh, yeah.
earlier. Yeah.
That was one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite. And I didn't even get suspended or have to take a week off after yelling at you like that, Joe, because we kissed and made up
was
afterwards.
awesome.
Tone, that was all. Listen, man. You know, it was all love, man. That was all love. Every time we had a disagreement, it was love.
I was
There nothing
laughing
else
the
but love.
entire time.
And by the way, I do have that rack, though. I have it saved in rack for you guys. I do have it somewhere in my
Oh,
house.
you
You
need
have
to
the
send
tape?
it.
Yes, I'll send it to you, Miss Robin. Absolutely, I have
Oh,
it.
we
It's a-
got to
it's a-
play that.
See, now that's something I think Jim from Cheltenham
Jim
should
from
have.
Cheltenham has to have that.
Yes.
That's got to go on the classic reels. You know, it's
I
like classic
agree.
sports.
Agree.
That's as important as watching Derek Jeter for how many straight hours?
64, I think.
64 straight hours
Yeah.
of Derek Jeter. Will you be
People-
watching that on the MLB Network this weekend, Younes?
Kevin Cookie 32 wants to know though. Yes, you might have yelled at him, but did you throw the headset?
No. Well, we couldn't. We had glass
Never.
in between us.
Right. No, 64 hours of Jeter. Are you watching that,
Jeter.
Joe?
Jeter.
Oh, absolutely, I'm watching it. Are you kidding me?
Goodness gracious!
I mean,
Here,
hey,
this just in, you can't rebet the games.
hey, that would make us a lot of money, man. You know that? So I will say that I have that clip. I have it right in front of me. I have to email it over to you guys. I'll have to play it.
Can you play it down the line like Phil, our buddy, the official archivist?
Yeah, he just plays a tape deck.
Yeah. What's the matter with you, man?
That's next level.
You're
man.
a radio
I'm
guy.
man.
You were a former engineer, board op, producer, and you don't have the way to play one of the greatest tirades in sports radio history down the line.
Tone, you're giving me too much credit, man. I just play drops, bro. You're giving me way too much credit.
Even Joe C now has the inclination to want to play drops on the show.
That's right, damn right. I was a drop machine, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I didn't produce.
you had good timing with those drops. It's all about the timing.
man.
It really is.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
All right, I got to ask you now, because when the NBA comes back and the NHL,
Yeah.
there's not going to be home arenas to factor into the line. So how is that going to affect your handicapping when LeBron's, maybe playing Kawhi Leonard in front of nobody?
Well, you know what's crazy, Aaron? I know you're a big soccer fan. You've seen the Bundesliga
Yeah.
statistics. The home number gets thrown out. I mean, there's no fans. So at this point, it's going to be a challenge. That's why Tone's asked if I can knock the rust off. It's going to be hard to fire it up because you know LeBron, there's certain players that get fed by the crowd, though.
Right.
There's a lot of star athletes that they feed off that energy. So how do you go on a 10-0 run in the NBA when you're down, 12 to make it a game again with no crowd? That's going to be tough.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch. You're absolutely right. And I know some of the soccer crowd, they're putting crowd noise in. And we had Joe Buck on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he said he wouldn't be surprised if the NFL adds some crowd noise. But I saw John Madden say, and we're going to try to get the coach on next week.
Oh, okay.
I saw him say in an interview with Freddie Godelli, who's the producer of Sunday Night Football, where John used to do the games, obviously, before retiring. And he said he doesn't think the NFL should put in fake crowd noise on national broadcast. So there's a lot of different opinions out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would be good with the crowd noise, though. I think in the NBA, all we're going to be hearing is the squeaking of the sneakers and some curse words, I think, that are flying out on the court, right? But it's kind of different. The NBA is going to be interesting to watch of all the leagues that are coming back.
Exactly right.
I mean,
I'm glad you saved that, though. Now, would you ever go back and listen to that day when you and I were having a spirited discussion about the National Basketball Association?
I would listen to it. Once I find this file, Tony, I'm going to play it on a loop every morning when I wake up to remind me how great that was. And I will say, if you threw a headset at me, there would be no hate for Tony, only love, man. I would take the suspension.
Hey,
I would take
See how I trained all these great young men who work with us and women?
Right.
Look at Robin. She's completely complicit and compliant, and she'll never, ever, ever give me any crap. That's what it's all about, because she respects me so much and she understands that I am teaching her to be a better human being and a better broadcaster and a better producer.
I would basically ask on the show what I had to do to get suspended.
Exactly.
I was begging to get suspended.
There were plenty of days Harry would walk in and say, "Why am I here?"
Yeah, I was like the dude. It's too hot outside. It's the middle of July. There's nothing going on. Let's get suspended.
You were dude, but you were not the bra, though.
No, not the bra.
We'll have a bra update later on this show. We're talking with the great Joe Younes here. Tony and Harry, Miss Robin having fun on a Friday. This is awesome to talk to you, man. We go back. See, the one thing about all the people we work with, you can see we bring them all on the show. There's a love thing going on. There's none of this, I'm not going to talk to that guy. He's an asshole. None of that stuff goes on here. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's an honor to be on with you guys, man. Again, best time of my life was with the show, man. We had some great moments, and I can't forget the moments of our program director telling us, "You got to get back to the Eagles." Those drops that we had were legendary. I'm sure our listeners.
See, and the other thing is, like, Joe tried to shield us from all that.
Yes.
Like because the program director would go to Joe. He wouldn't come to us a lot of times.
He was afraid to come into the studio, so he'd go to poor Joe in the other room and try to tell him to tell us. We don't do no middleman stuff. I never deal with the middleman. You go right to the top, Harry. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And I could see Joe, like, looking off to the right because Matt, who was the PD, never wanted to let his body show, like, in the window.
So he was, like, hiding.
So he's hiding in the corner. But then I can see Joe's eyes are looking over there the whole time, and I'm trying to get his attention, and that's when I knew. I'm like, yep, Higgins in there.
Exactly
Joe's
right.
getting yelled at.
We will get the audio of that. And, of course, Dean in Clearwater, who wishes he could be a good prognosticator like you are, Younes, giving us crap normally on the Twitch stream, calling you a Philly hack.
Oh, you have haters out there, Tone. You know that.
No, Dean's just a pain in the ass. He's just jealous. We got to break, man. I
know.
We could talk to Joe Younes all day, man. Joe, it's great to talk to you, brother.
You need to come in studio sometime, Joe.
He's not allowed down here from Allentown. You know how much tolls he's going to raise the tolls on the turnpike? It'll cost him $20 just to come here.
No, I'm going to send you that link, and that audio file will rack it. And also, if you need any NBA tips once it's back, you can call me anytime. So.
There he is, at Joe Younes 15 on Twitter, and, of course, GodfatherLocks.com.
Exactly.
There he is.
Beautiful. Thank you, brother. Love talking to you. Let's give him a roaring round of applause.
Yeah.
How great is Joe?